Everybody okay? Everybody had a good weekend? Nice sunny weekend for October. That's pretty good for England. Sunny today, sunny yesterday. So enjoy the sun as much as you have. The constant rain is coming. And darkness at 4 o'clock. It'll be dark at 4. Once the clocks move, the last Sunday of October, when they push back the clocks, it will be dark at 4 o'clock. So get ready for all that. Everybody's happy? Any questions? Any comments? Everybody's course. This can't be the only course. Other courses are going okay? Wow. Wonderful. Right. Here's the big question again. Assignment groups. Everybody is in a group? No new people join? Is anybody new joining today? Everybody was here last week? Yes, no. Everybody was here last week, the week before? Yes. I've been told new people are joining today, so no new people? Everybody is in a...
Kind of,
What do you mean? Are you in a group?
yeah, just on my new group.
Oh, shut up. Then what do you ask me? I don't care if you're new or not. If you're in a group, I'm happy. Anybody not in a group? Raise your hand now, because next week the group has to be finalized. Everybody in a group now, okay? You okay with that? This side? This side? Wonderful. Life couldn't be any better. Next week at this time, one form per group. Every group has to fill out one form. Group forms are on Blackboard. Fill out your names and signature. Give your group a name. And next week at this time, I will ask for each group to give me one form. Okay? Wonderful. Last time we stopped right here. Basically, what this tries to show is that the current price of stocks today, as we speak, is influenced heavily by the dividend to be paid in the future. Present value of the dividend in the future is the sum of all that plus the present value of the price somewhere in the end. And we said there are two types of investors. Guys who buy the stocks, who hold on to them for a long, long time, maybe even forever. They're passing the stocks to their families. So these guys are relying on the dividend. And some guys are stockbrokers and spot investors. They look for the price to go up or price to go down. Simple financial rule. Buy low, sell high. Something they buy today for £5 per share, tomorrow it is £6 per share. They already made £1 per share profit. It's called capital gains. And on most of the Western countries, capital gains is not taxed very heavily. It's very lightly taxed. So if this guy owns 100,000 shares, that's quite a bit of money. That is selling the stuff for capital gains. So you can hold to the stocks for these guys, dividend, or you can hold for that. But that is only important to somebody who wants to make money on the spot. The fast investors. The guy who invests for long term, the risk-averse investor who wants to hold for a long time, doesn't care about that. He cares about this in the future. What happens to the growth? Growth is an important thing. The economy grows, the market grows, you grow, we grow, everybody grows. G, the growth rate, is extremely important. Nothing stays constant. Nothing stays the same. What if the dividend grew? Suppose the growth rate of dividend. Companies have to, as they make more and more profit, as the percentage rate of profit increases, then the owners will want more and more of the share, of the profit. They want more and more dividend. If you invest in a very thriving, very strong company, and they are very strong, and each quarter, each year, they get stronger and stronger, bringing in more and more profit. So percentage growth of the profit is increasing. Then the dividend holders or the shareholders would want more and more dividend. Simple as that. So the growth rate of the dividend has an effect on the stock price. Suppose the growth rate is constant, does not grow at all, it's constant. In case of preferred shares are the two types of major shares, common stocks and preferred stocks. Common stocks are the bottom of the totem pole. They are the lowest of the food chain. Above them is the preferred shareholders, and above them is debt holders and things like that. The preferred shareholders get paid before the common shareholders. And preferred shareholders are basically given a constant percentage, not constant in pounds or dollars, but constant in percentage of the dividend. So if that's true, then these guys are equal to each other, constant number. And this equation 6 over here, D1, D2, D3, D4 is the same. And you replace them with simple D. And if you do Taylor's series calculation, you get something like that. Present value of stocks today, P naught, is equal to D divided by R. R is the required rate of return on investment. What does that look like? It's a perpetuity. It's a constant flow. That doesn't stop. As long as the company is alive, preferred shareholders will get the same amount, same percentage, same amount year after year, month after month, quarter after quarter. It's a perpetuity then. In the bond market, perpetuity is a myth. It doesn't exist. There's only one real example of perpetuity in the Western world, the council bond of the British government. Otherwise, all loans have to come to an end. Because of that, bonds have a term of maturity. It ends. But stocks don't have a term of maturity. They don't have to come to an end. As long as the company is alive, the stocks, common stocks and preferred stocks will exist in the market. The secondary market is very active of stocks. The stock market, secondary market, is very, very active. If the company dies, all stocks are toilet paper. You lose your money. All the piece of certificate that you have that says you are the stockholder of 10,000 stocks in company A, B, C, or whatever, that ABC disappears, that certificate is basically toilet paper. It doesn't have any. So this becomes a perpetuity. Now suppose dividend grows at a constant growth rate, G, 5% or 10%. Then dividend is different each time. Who's that? Can you all see that? That's today, that's tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and whatever. So that's today. This is D naught, dividend today. This is D1, and this is D2. And these guys are growing. So growth rate is G is the growth rate. This guy is different from this guy is different from that. And they are growing that way by G. That's dividend today, that's dividend next period. That's D naught and D1. D1 is equal to D naught multiplied by 1 plus G. Looks like the present value formula, right? Or no, future value formula, right? Looks like the future value formula. So basically, D1 is equal to D naught multiplied by 1 plus G. future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus R. Just like that. That's, so D1 is equal to that. The way we have gone from D0 to D1 is by this growth model. D2 is then is equal to that. D2 is equal to D1 multiplied 1 plus G. But G is the same because we are assuming the growth rate is the same, right? Now, D1 is equal to that, D2 is equal to that. But this equation, equation 9, has D1 inside it. So if you substitute that, this bit here, substitute equation 8 into 9, we get something like that. Right? So D2 is equal to D0 multiplied by 1 plus G raised to power square. And then D3 is equal to that. D4 is equal to that. Everybody with me? Right? That's simple, simple algebra. You substitute each time. D3 is equal to D0 multiplied 1 plus G. Right? What else is D3 equal to? D2 multiplied by 1 plus G. Right? D4 is equal to D3 multiplied by 1 plus G. Right? When you start substituting these into each other, you start getting these kind of things. And in generic form, we have that. D2 is equal to D0 multiplied by 1 plus G raised power T. In generic format, we have dt is equal to d0 plus 1 plus g. The value of t goes from 1 all the way to infinity. Value of g goes from 1 it goes from 1. Value of g goes from 1 all the way to infinity. Starts with 1 and goes all the way to infinity.
I'm sorry, you write t.
Where?
The value of t may go from 1 to infinity.
Oh, sorry. I did that on purpose to see who was alert. You win the prize. If I remember you, I'll give an extra mark in the exam. Yes, it's t. Sorry, not g. G is fixed. G is fixed. So t, time goes from 1 all the way to infinity. Of course, infinity is the far, far beyond, in science fiction. Is far, far beyond. But mathematicians like to use the word infinity. And they came up with this new, not new, but Greek guys came up with this long time ago. So, it goes from, in other words, t can be a very large number. That's all the same. Okay? Everybody with me? Now, we know this is equation 6. We've done this before. This is equation 6, if I remember. This guy. Oops. This guy, right? I'll rewrite this equation over here. If I substitute equation 9, 10, 8 and all that, because these are redefined now. If you look at it, these D1, D2, D3, D4 is all redefined. Oops. If I put all this together, I get equation 14, which looks real nasty. If I substitute equation 9, 10, 11, 12 into equation 6, this is equation 6, and we get equation 14, which looks not so nice. But by Taylor series and manipulation, equation 14 is approximately equal to that. D0 multiplied by 1 plus G is equal to that. That equation, these two are not identical, but very, very similar. Will give you very similar answers. That's something you have to remember. If I give you, there's four, how many unknowns? One unknown, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 unknowns. If I give you 3, you should be able to find the fourth one, right? What must be true of this equation? What must be true of this equation? What has to be true for this equation to make sense?
Interest rate has to be bigger.
The required return have to be higher than the growth rate. Otherwise, this baby will be negative. Negative price means what? Negative inflation means prices are falling. The British government had declared the prices for this month. It's negative inflation again for the UK. The Central Bank of England Bank of England has declared that inflation prices is down because of the falling oil prices. That means that. But if price is negative, inflation means negative doesn't mean prices are negative. It means prices are falling. Price is still positive. If you go to Sainsbury's and buy milk, it's still positive. If you go to Shell petrol station or Tesco petrol station, you still have to pay a positive amount to buy 1 liter of gas or 1 gallon of petrol, whatever. What does negative mean? If P naught was less than 0, if P naught was less than 0, which means it is negative, which means what? What is the price of anything is negative? What does that mean? In logical sense, in common sense, logical sense, what does it mean? They give you the stuff and they give you some money on top of that. Who the heck is going to do that? Unless it's a piece of junk and they want you to take it away and they pay you to remove it, that's different. It's like going to Sainsbury's, they give you a pint of milk and they give you 1 pound along with it. That doesn't happen much. Like I said, if it's a piece of junk and they want you to remove it, they maybe give you removal expenses, but negative prices cannot be negative. Inflation can be negative, which means prices are falling, but prices are still positive, but they're just falling. But prices cannot be negative. So, from logical point of view, the required rate of return, what you require on investment, the required rate of return has to be higher than the growth rate. R minus G has to be positive. For that, R has to be greater than G. Okay? Everybody with me? Any questions, any comments before I start the next topic? Wonderful. Okay, let's talk about some corporate finance. Now, some of you may have seen this before, and if you have done a finance course, if you've done a corporate finance course, there's a very good chance you may have seen this before. And if you take a corporate finance course this semester or next semester, you may see it again. Capital budgeting is taught by everybody. It's taught by finance people and accounting people. Anybody with an accounting background? Anybody with an accounting undergraduate degree? Raise your hands. We hate you. So, you may have seen this before. So it may not be new for some of you. It may be new for somebody. But my approach is a bit different. Okay. Everybody, every company, every person deals with fixed assets. Every human being, every company, every firm has to buy and deal with fixed assets. What is fixed assets? These are long-term assets that is bought for long-term use. These are usually tangible assets. In other words, you can touch it. You can hug it. You can kiss it if you want to. Or anything else you want to do with it. These are tangible assets. Your car, when you buy, whether it's a second-hand car or brand new car, is a fixed asset. It's a long-term asset that you plan to use for long-term. Long-term meaning more than 1 year. This building belongs to the University of Southampton. As disgusting it is a long-term asset. It's a fixed asset. When you buy your house someday, when you go get a job and buy your house, that's a fixed asset. That's an investment in a fixed asset. Think of individual person like you. One day you may already have a car. Who knows? You may already own a house. Your parents own a house somewhere in this world. They own a car, maybe. But someday you may want to own a car. And you will. You will have to own a house. You want to raise a family. Those are fixed term assets, tangible assets that you invest in. Similarly, companies invest in fixed assets. Capital budgeting is planning an expenditure on long-term assets, long-run assets. These are the fixed assets. This is the tangible or non-tangible. But mostly, most fixed assets or long-term assets or fixed assets are tangible. This comes in the form of building, a new factory, new investment. They can be tangible. What's a fixed term? Another fixed term asset, but they can also be non-tangible. But we talk mostly about tangible assets. One of the concerns of the financial manager is the type of fixed assets to invest in. What investment is the company doing? What type of investment should they make? Because options are always there. Life is all about choices. As you get older, you will realize that life is all about choices and dealing with the consequences of choices. Each choice has a transaction cost. Cost of creating and enforcing a contract. Each choice has an opportunity cost. Time has value. Time has money. That's what opportunity cost means. You're sitting over here for the next 2 hours. You could be doing something else. You're here for education. You could have gone somewhere else. Or you can have taken this money and done something else with it. These are opportunity cost and transaction cost of an investment that you are personally making in your life. Companies have to do the same thing. You will have to make many investments in the future with a job, with marriage, with children. It will come and come and come. This fixed term assets investment will come. Companies have to do the same thing. Somebody has to decide where to open a new factory. If it's a textile firm, a UK textile firm has to open a new factory somewhere. And given the companies are now international, where do you go? Do you go to India, China, Egypt, where? Where the cotton is cheap and readily available. Somebody has to decide which of the three options is the best one. Some financial managers and strategy managers in British Airlines have to decide that old planes have to be replaced in order to keep the fleet young enough and thriving enough. When do you buy the planes? Which planes do you buy? These are serious fixed term assets. They buy these planes for service for 20 years. One day you have to buy a car. Which one do you buy? One day you have to buy a house. University has always debated, since I have been in this university for 10 years now, has always debated about giving the business school a new building. And I've been in several committees, several times. When and how and where. We can't open a building in China or India. They can, some universities have. We have a campus in Malaysia, Johor Bahru, engineering campus. But business school have to be here. The Avenue campus, the main campus, maybe Winchester. And last 10 years, I've not seen one brick been laid anywhere. It's just all talk, but talks are based on that. There are many options to investment, but each option is usually, not always, mutually exclusive, which means if you do this, you can't do that. If University of Southampton does decide someday, at least in my lifetime, build a new business school for us, and they do it next to this crappy building we have over there, behind them, or somewhere else in campus. Once that's done, once they decide that, and construction starts, they can't say, oh, shall we build one in Winchester also? No. If this company decides to open a factory in India because cotton is cheaper, blah, 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 labor is cheaper, then China and Egypt is out. You came here for masters. Are you doing another master's at the same time somewhere else? You could afterwards. If you finish and you think you haven't learned enough, you have the time and the money, you can go do a master somewhere else. Some people do it. But somebody has to decide. Each firm faces a large number of possible investment in fixed assets. Choices are there, options are there. A lot of the options are mutually exclusive. In other words, you pick A, then B and C cannot be picked. When you have that problem, then it becomes a tussle. Which one do you pick? When you have a choice between A, B, and C, like this example, which one do you pick? Which one do you pick? But there's no money for investment in all of them. You're not going to buy 3 cars. Unless you're super rich, famous movie star, football player, then you buy 2, 3 cars at the same time. That's different. How many people? You're going to buy 1 car. You're not going to marry 2, 3 women. You're going to marry 1.
Why not?
Some places you can. But 2, 3, 4 women, wives mean 2, 3 mother-in-laws. Good luck with that. Who wants to deal with that? You want 3 mother-in-laws calling you, telling you off? No. So, 1 husband, things like that. So these are mutual investments. You can replace them afterwards. And these choices are lingering on. Somebody has to decide. It is the job of the financial group and managers to find out. You may be one of those managers in a few years' time. You may be working in a team. This is the reason the group assignments are so important. You learn to work with other people. When you go work in a company, private company, whether here or in China or in Greece or wherever you're working, what do you think? They'll give you a nice office and say, right, here, sit here, here's a computer, and we'll never see you, have a good time. No. You work in a team. Everybody works in a team. I have to work in a team. You have to learn how to work with different people, different background, different education, different level of intelligence, different level of hard working ability. You have to work with everything. So you may be part of this financial team you are given the assignment to deal with that. Look at the franchises: McDonald's, KFC, Wendy's, Burger King, Starbucks, Costco. They're everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's Starbucks. Pretty much. McDonald's everywhere. You can go to the middle of Kabul and there's a McDonald's there. Who decides that a McDonald's should be opened here or there? Who decides, let's open a Starbucks next to this airport? Who decides that? You think about it, this pops up from nowhere? You know, somebody's assessing whether it's worth opening a Starbucks, I don't know, some small town somewhere. Somebody from McDonald's is assessing that somebody has applied to open a McDonald's. Another McDonald's, middle of Southampton or Winchester, is it worth allowing this franchise to go ahead? Somebody has assessed that. All these airlines go to different destinations. British Airlines goes to over 200 destinations. Who decided that? Yeah, it's easy to think, oh, yes, we all have to fly to London or New York. Everybody wants to fly to London and New York. Who decided to go fly to Timbuktu? Or remote part of the Central Asia? Some guy sitting there going, yes, it's worth paying this airport fee and we go land over there. Yes, it's worth opening a Starbucks next to the Southampton campus. There's the Costa Coffee near the campus, that direction. It wasn't there, it was a bank. Till last summer, it was a bank. The bank shut down and Costa Coffee opened up. Bank? Yes, it was a bank. Bank shut down. Who decided that? Who decided Costa Coffee? Why didn't somebody else come? Why Costa Coffee? In Portswood, I don't know if you've been to Portswood, there's coffee number 1. There's coffee number 1, which some people, I don't drink coffee. Some people claim the best coffee is from coffee number 1. It was a Barclays Bank. It was my bank. They shut down and the coffee number 1 opened up. Types of project. There's somebody out there working on these things, somebody out there deciding these things. Types of project. An independent project is one that can be chosen independently of the other. That means taking the project does not affect, it's not mutually exclusive. In other words, Burger King can decide to open 2 outlets within the same area. Happens all the time. You walk down, you see a McDonald's, you walk for 10 minutes, you see another McDonald's. In the same mall sometimes. There's Costa Coffee downstairs, and you go upstairs, there's a Costa Coffee upstairs also. Because they are not taking away market from each other. There's enough market for both. Rather than have some other fast food come and take one of the spots, you'd rather take both the spots. They're independent of each other. They're not mutually exclusive. But a lot of the projects are mutually exclusive. Cannot be chosen independent. Then you pick one, you pick A, you cannot pick B and C. You have a piece of land, you can make it into a parking lot. There's an airport not far away. You can make it into a long-term parking lot. Or you can build a flat on it. But building both is going to be difficult. You have a piece of land in the middle of the town. You can make it into a nightclub. But building a nightclub and a church at the same time will be difficult. You have to pick one of the 2 things. What do you want to do? This is by city ordinance. You know what city ordinance are? This is the councils of each city in this country and the US. They give you a license to operate a cafe or ice cream place or nightclub or bar or pub. You just can't open a bar or pub in the city anytime you want. You have to get a license. So the city ordinance people, which is the government officials, they look at what you're requesting and they see how many cafes are there already. Too many cafes, they don't want to dilute the market. How many restaurants are there? How many Chinese restaurants, Thai restaurants, Indian restaurants are already there? How many nightclubs are already there? From business point of view, they decide based on that. Somebody has to decide. Now, the different type of project. A conventional project is a project with an initial cash outflow that is followed by one or more expected cash inflow. What is that supposed to mean? That's future. Okay, can you all see this? Can you all see that? So, you can't see that. Who said that? So, conventional project is an initial cash outflow. What does cash outflow means? Anybody? Just from the English. Outflow. Inflow and outflow. Money going out. So, conventional outflow means payment is minus C naught. Right? Payment is minus C naught. And then followed by one or more cash inflow. Means what? Money coming in. Right? So, C1, C2, C3, these guys are all positive. Negative is going out, positive is coming in. Okay? That's a conventional cash outflow. That's a conventional project. A bond and stock is a very conventional investment. You buy the stock today, that means money goes out, and then dividend starts coming in, which is money coming in, right? That's a conventional. Bond also, you buy the bond, either a government bond or private company bond, you buy the bond, so money goes out, and then coupon payment starts coming in, and then face value comes in, money coming in. Convention, standard stuff. You buy a stock, some airline, you buy the stock, so you give them the money, they give you shares, piece of paper, that says that you will get dividends and all that, and dividends start coming in every 3 months or every 6 months, so there are money coming in. Whether you sell the stock in the future or not, that's a different story. Bond also, you buy the bond, you give money goes out, and then things starts coming in. A non-conventional project has different pattern from cash inflow and outflow. In some case, the cash flow, initial cash flow may be positive, and the expected future cash flow may be negative. In other words, in a non-conventional method, this thing is positive, and these guys are negative. Money comes to you initially, and then you pay out each time. Example, pension. Think of a pension. Now, don't think from the investor's point of view. Think from the pension company point of view. I'm paying pension every month towards a pension organization. Is the cash conventional for me? Is cash outflow? And when I retire, if I get to retire, money will come back to me as pension payment. This convention from my point of view, right? I'm paying every month certain amount for a long, long time, 30 years plus. And then when I retire, I refuse to believe 100% will come back, but some money will come back to me month by month. From my point of view, as an investor, as a pension holder, that's a conventional payment. But think of the pension company, USS, who I have a pension deal with. They're getting the money right now. It's a positive thing for them. It's an inflow. And when I retire, they have to outflow to me. For them, it's a non-conventional policy. Money comes into them. I'm not the only one. Hundreds of thousands of academics across UK have USS deal. They're all paying per month. So money is coming in, and a time comes, they have to pay these guys out. People who are retiring now or retired last year, they're getting pension already. I have some colleagues who have retired already. Last year, year before, they paid for 35 years, whatever. Now they're getting the inflow. So from the pension company, it's a non-conventional. This is a very common thing. The initial payment may be negative. The initial payment may be negative, and the inflow may be positive also, most of them, but not all of them. Sometimes you have to make more payments. So the first two payments may be positive, cash flows in, but the third one could be cash outflow again. So you make a payment now, inflow comes period 1, inflow comes period 2, and then third year, you have to make more payment. And then C4 could be positive again. Prime example, cars, trucks, planes. An airline is a very good example of capital intensive good company. Suppose they buy an aircraft, they pay 40 million pounds or 50 million pounds. These things are expensive. 30 million pounds. They pay that, and they start flying passengers. The cash inflow comes in, but then after 2, 3, 4 years, the plane needs full servicing. And for a few months, it's non-operational. It's sitting somewhere in Seattle, Washington, or Toulouse, France, with an Airbus, and getting full servicing. Cash outflow. My mother. Now, just imagine having a car, a taxi. Imagine you're a taxi driver. Imagine you're a taxi driver. You buy a brand new taxi from Southampton to airport service, from here to Heathrow, from here to Gatwick. I know one or two guys that do that. They don't have taxis inside the city, but they are from here to Heathrow, here to Gatwick, here to Luton. That's what they do. They bought a brand new 4x4 that can hold 6-7 people. Initial outlay, few years of passenger transportation. Then taxi needs a serious service. It's not broken down; it just needs a service. MOT is what you have to get your car through every year to make it more road reliable. But if the car is brand new, you don't need MOT for 3 years. So those are the negative things. Anything that requires maintenance, from computers to aircraft, from photocopy machine to spacecraft, from very minor stuff. I mean, computers, laptops, iPads, printing printers. These things are basic stuff now in our lives. But aircrafts are very specialized material. Spacecraft. NASA has all these spacecraft. You think they don't need serious maintenance? Money goes in and out. We'll do example of this. Okay. Method of evaluation. How do you evaluate different options? We're going to go through some methods, but how do you evaluate different options? What do companies use? What do people use in their head? You do that in your head too. When you invest something, when you buy a car, when you pay for this education, this is a year-long investment. These are long-term investment. These are short-term investment. Imagine doing PhD. It takes 3 to 4 years. There's a 3 to 4 years investment of time and money and effort. 3 to 4 years investment. This is 1 year investment. Undergraduate degree was a 3 year investment. These are long-term things. If you do 3 years of undergraduate, 1 year of master's, and 3 more years of PhD, that's 7-8 years of education and investment. That's a serious long-term investment. Even we use some methods in our heads to evaluate. How do companies do that? Companies cannot evaluate in their head. They have to do a proper procedure. The higher authorities want an answer. How do you come up with option A and not B and C? And you have to explain to them why option A is better than B and C or D. Net present value. Everybody's heard of net present value. According to net present value, an investment is only worth taking if it creates value for the owners. According to net present value, it's a process to calculate. And when you calculate, you get a numerical value. It gives you a number. The number is in pounds, or dollars, or euros, or yen, whatever currency you're using. It actually gives you a number in currency. It has to create value. Then it has to create value. Investment value should be greater than the cost. If you go by this, they're saying investment value, this is investment value somehow, it has to be greater than the cost. It's a measure of how much value is created today by undertaking an investment in the future. It uses present value formula, something we did last week. It uses present value formula to create the value of the investment today. Because investment is coming tomorrow. You don't know what the investment is going to be. You have invested your time, effort, and money here. You have no clue how much money you will earn from September, October next year. You want to have a job. But would you be serving burgers, or would you be in some London high firm, or Shanghai, Beijing, Athens, wherever you guys want to work? You're not doing this just for your health. Majority of you I can see have come from overseas. To fly up here all the time cost money. you expect a return. You expect a cash flow. I can't use my master's degree anymore. It was long, long time ago. I can't use my PhD anymore. It was long, long time ago. But for the next 3 to 5 years, at least next 2 to 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, this master's degree has to produce. That you know. That is happening today. You know how much tuition you're paying. You know what the flight was. You know what the accommodation is costing you. You know every time you eat, you know how much it's costing you. What you don't know, and so these are cash outflow. The flight, the accommodation, the tuition, food you will eat anyway, whether you stay here or somewhere else. What you don't know is these guys. It has to add positively to your investment, to your life. It has to. If the University of Southampton does give us a brand new building, and this is the debate every time, what is the return? This year we have 1,000 something MSc students. There's 180 of you here. There's 900 something sitting somewhere else. We have over 1,000 MSc students. The school wants to know, if the university wants to know, if we give you a brand new building, how much more MSc students can you get? That's that. The tuition you pay. It has to add. Accountants has to add. Time value of money or cash flow by means of present value. That's what it does, time value of money. What are the steps towards it? And the first one is the most difficult one. You know this. You know C0. What you don't know is C1, C2, C3, C4, and all the way to Cn. You have no clue. You have to estimate or forecast the cost of investment, which is C0, which is easy to do to a large extent. Even that can be difficult. Business school will cost 20 to 50 million pounds. The medical school, the biological sciences, the new building that opened a few years ago, cost 100 million. Cost 100 million. It's next to the library. The computer science department, next to Zagler building, that burned down 10 years ago. That cost 70, 80 million also in those days. Insurance company paid for that. These things are expensive. So cost. The business school, every time they get an architect firm, they go from 20 million to 40 million. Especially if you're going to have 1,000 students plus. That's just a postgraduate. This has to be done. And expected cash future inflow. This is the hardest thing to do. How do you do that? This is what the Vice Chancellor, the CEO of companies want to know. This is what you want to know. How much inflow would you expect from this degree from September, October, November? How much? What jobs can you get? How much money you can get? You have to be very realistic about that in order to get the correct net present value. You estimate the present value of cash inflows and outflows, a certain interest rate, and compare the estimate from this. So you find the present value of all these guys, present value of this, and you compare at a certain discount rate. Okay, 10 minutes.